President of Local 375, Lou Albano, say a few words.
There's very little that I could add, but I don't understand. Where's the mystery? Where is the mystery? Well, I want to know what city agency would do a job that costs 10 times as much that was first predicated on the estimate. I don't think Mayor Bloomberg would do business like that.
No.
He comes from the private sector. Where is the mystery? Why isn't this stopped? Who is benefiting it? It's certainly not the people here. Thank you.
Woo!
Thank you, Lou. Thank you. And also then, for District Council DC 37, I'd like from Local 924, Kyle Simmons, President of Local 924.
Good afternoon, everyone. I stand here with my brothers and sisters behind me and fighting this fight. CityTime, $780 million. Now, we talk about the high-paying consultants that's doing this work, but it doesn't work, the CityTime. It doesn't work at all. So $780 million is being flushed down the toilet. Now, the mayor calls this a disaster, and he's still funneling money into this program. Now, what's wrong with this picture here?
Everything.
Now, as a union worker, a public employee union worker, we are one of the many voices that are letting the citizens of New York know this is what constantly is going on. We see this at the light at $780 million, but it's really 10 times that amount of money being constantly wasted in this city. We're cutting back on health care. We're cutting back on social services. We're cutting back on the essentials that are needed to keep people alive in this city. And we got $780 million to waste on keeping time. Now, what's wrong with that picture if you are balancing people's welfare and livelihood, insurance, and health over a clock? That is something that has no real essential, especially when they say they don't have any money. Well, if you don't have any money and you're still funding this program, there's something wrong with that picture. I believe it should be now citizens' time. The citizen has to wake up and say, you know what? Enough is enough. We had enough of your constant wasting. We had enough of you constantly blaming your rank and file workers that's been servicing you this city, that's been doing the best they can with what they have to work with. Someone else needs to come and take responsibility. Mr. Mayor, you wanted to be elected for the third term. You here, show some leadership. Do something about this problem. Make sure that we always have health care. Make sure the social programs continue to operate, continue to be funded. Don't take away the rest of New York City. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate people's patience. I have just one more speaker, but I just want to acknowledge the people that have been here or are still here. Dennis Ifield from Local 1359. Fitz Reed from Local 768 is here. Gary Brown from Local 1062 is here. Sarah Crippen from Local 1507. And Eric Latson from Local 1597. And then also from the American Federation of Government Employees, Larry Hirsch was here. I'd like to just finish today with another member coming from the Parks Department. He's the president of our Parks Department chapter, Ricardo Hinkle. Ricardo.
CityTime is a $780 million pork barrel boondoggle, and it represents city corruption on the scope and scale that would make Boss Tweed squeal with glee.
Woo!
We came to you about 2.5 years ago, a number of our chapters, and we had demonstrations. At that time, CityTime had cost the taxpayers of New York City $410 million. We said, stop the insanity, stop the craziness, stop the waste. Little did we realize in our wildest dreams we'd be here 2.5 years later, $370 million later, no end in sight. It's almost $1 billion, and they want more. There's only one answer to this non-stop, incessant sinkhole of city funds. Stop it. Stop CityTime now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. If there are questions, certainly we'll try to answer them for you. You've been wonderfully patient in the hot sun, although I'm glad it's a hot sun and not a cold rain. So at least that's a good thing. Yes, George?
Why are we laying off people and paying so much money to keep their time? That's what I'd like to know.
Thank you, George. Absolutely. And I'm not going to
Rhetorical question, George.
Anybody have any questions? Otherwise, we really appreciate everybody kind of hanging in here. Yes.
How much is the new contract for?
The new contract is $110 million. That's the one that has to be passed by September the 30th. But there's a contract coming right after that for another, I think, 54 or 56 million. And there's frankly no end in sight in terms of how these contracts keep rolling out. You're welcome.
John, the city has claimed that if the contract is not renewed, city employees might not be paid what they should be paid in a timely manner. And if they're not paid at all or paid less than they should be, and they went out on strike, will they still be covered? Will they still be governed by the Taylor law? Because there's a contract. You're supposed to get paid. They didn't keep their end of the contract.
The issue was raised. Thank you, Fred. The issue was raised as to if the contract was stopped, and if SAIC was moved out of the picture, would that endanger city employees from receiving their paycheck? And the answer to that is no. In fact, the comptroller's office has investigated that. We have investigated that. And every single timekeeping department that we have spoken to has said there is no problem with going back to the old system. There is no problem. Everybody will get their paychecks. There might be a delay on some overtime payments as they catch up, but there is no problem with people getting their paychecks, and that is, in fact, not a real issue and not a reason to not stop CityTime. Thank you.